Good evening, you guys. Tonight I'm going to go through Nahum chapter 3, and this will conclude the prophecy of the minor prophet Nahum. Chapter 3. Chapter 3, verse 1. Woe to the bloody city! It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. This is the condition of Nineveh. They were bloody. They were brutal. They physically destroyed society they came across. And they were deceivers, and they were manipulative liars. The noise of a whip, and the noise of the rattling of the wheels, and the prancing horses, and the jumping chariots. The jumping of the chariots. What are they jumping on? Well, it's like going down a rocky fire road on the side of a mountain in hunting season. You got all these natural native rocks in the trail, and the trucks just bumping along. Well, these chariots are bumping along on carnage. They're jumping along on dead bodies, carcasses. The amount of dead is paramount. The horseman lifteth up both bright sword and the glittering spear, and there is a multitude of slain, and a great number of carcasses, and there is none end of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses. These chariots, as I said in chapter 2, they were the General Motors of the chariot business. And these horses were fine breeds. And they're just going through these areas of battle, just trotting right over top of them, like they're part of the natural turf. There's that many dead. And God took care of business. He took care of business on this heathen crew of Assyrians in the capital of Nineveh. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her fornication, through her whoredoms, and families through her witchcrafts. Witchcrafts is mentioned twice here. It's of significant importance. Witchcraft went on then, and it goes on today every bit as it went on then. You know, we humans, we like to know the future. I admit I do. I'd like to know when it's going to rain. So if I seven dust some plants, I'd like to know if it's going to rain the next day, or there's going to be a heavy morning dew so it doesn't wash away my dust. You know, a lot of people hold stock in rabbit's foots. A lot of people have daily readings. They glean from the newspaper to read the daily horoscope. People have favorite rings. Dream catchers hanging from the rearview window. Humans want to know the future. They want to know what's coming up, and we also like to act like we know what's coming up and what's going to happen. You know, but we have to combat that kind of worldly, future-seeking ability, especially through things like graven images. And I'm sure that the Assyrians had their fair stock of statues and rocks painted and stuff like that they could pray to, and seem to convince themselves that these things would give them some sort of insight of the future, which was not. You can't hold no stock in them kind of things, you know. And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and I will set thee as gazing stock. I will set thee as gazing stock. Remember when the Twin Towers in New York City, a while back, when the dynamite the airplanes brought those buildings down? We were a gazing stock. New York City, all eyes were on that city. Whether friend or foe, we were a gazing stock. Everybody wanted to gaze, whether it was nothing. It was pure death and destruction, and people wanted to gaze upon it. People craved that, like television today, that deathly carnage of entertainment. like The Walking Dead, shows like that. They wanted to gaze upon, what's next? What's next? What are they going to show next? They going to show another person jumping out of the window? The Assyrians are a gazing stock. And it shall come to pass that all that look upon thee shall flee from thee, and say, Nineveh is laid to waste. Who will bemoan her? Whence shall I seek comforters for thee? Nobody will mourn Nineveh. They're going to mourn, but they're going to mourn from a distance because they're going to get there, and it's going to be quite a spectacle, but they mean nothing to the world anymore. They're gone. They're done. There's nothing left to fornicate with. It's like a old fella dying in the funeral parlor, and he was quite a popular guy. He was known to be funny and cut up with people and a good guy to hang around and jest with. But he dies, and then nobody shows up to the funeral because he didn't have any immediate family. Most of his acquaintances were just that. People he might have worked with or neighbors or whatever, but when he dies, he's no more. They bemoan him no more. Art thou better than Populus, No, that was situate among the rivers, that had the waters round about it, whose ramparts was the sea, and her wall was from the sea? Art thou better than the popular No, or No, that's in the Bible and known to us as the capital of Egypt, known as Thebes. And it too had great rivers around it. The Nile River and a lot of desert land around it. That was its protection. And Jeremiah and Ezekiel prophesied Thebes' destruction. Jeremiah and Ezekiel both. And here's Nahum prophesying the destruction of the capital of Assyria, Nineveh. Ethiopia and Egypt were her strength, and it was infinite. Put and Luban were thy helpers. Ethiopia and Egypt were just outside of Thebes. They were allies, kind of like Canada and is to us. And having that desert and that Nile River, that played a big role in keeping people out, keeping people from coming in that city of Thebes. Yet was she carried away. She went into captivity. Her young children also were dashed in pieces at the top of all the streets, and they cast lots for her honorable men, and all her great men were bound in chains. Assyria did this to Thebes back then, but now the chickens have come home to roost. What Assyria did to Thebes, the Babylonians are going to do to Assyria. Chickens have come home to roost. Thou also shalt be drunken, thou shalt be hid, thou also shalt seek strength because of the enemy. The Assyrians are going to have the short guy syndrome. They're going to partake in wine and strong drink, and they're going to build their courage up that way. They're going to say, I'm ready. They're going to get drunked up, and they're going to be ready. They think they're going to be ready. They're going to have that little man syndrome. All thy strongholds shall be like fig trees, with the first figs. If they be shaken, they shall even fall into the mouths of the eater. Even an apple tree's got the same characteristics. You can shake it right when they're about right. Those apples just gentle shake, fall right to the ground. Well, Nahum's saying to Nineveh right here that they'll be as those figs. As soon as the enemies breach that wall, you're going to crumble. You're going to lose your posture. Behold, thy people in the midst of thee are women. The gates of thy land shall be set wide open unto thine enemies. The fire shall devour thy bars. Well, I take this to maybe meaning that a predominant amount of the front lines here might have been just women. Draw thee waters for the siege. Fortify thy strongholds. Go into clay, and tread the mortar. Make strong the brick kiln. Well, after the waters had destructed the walls there in Nineveh, they had to remember back in their brick apprenticeship classes and learn how to lay brick again and try to get that wall to fortify that city back up again. And when the enemy would come and try to scale that wall, there'd be fellas up top with wooden buckets of hot water to dump down on them, try to encourage them from climbing that wall. Because it wasn't the big wall that it used to be, the big great wall. It wasn't that anymore. This was a makeshift, haphazardly thrown together deterrent to try to keep people out. We're going to see it didn't keep anybody out. There shall the fire devour thee. The sword shall cut thee off. It shall eat thee up like the cankerworm. Make thyself many as the cankerworm. Make thyself many as the locust. Nahum's prophesying here they will bring, they're going to bring all the reinforcements that they can. It's just not going to help. All those reinforcements just aren't going to help. Thou hast multiplied thy merchants above the stars of heaven. The cankerworm spoileth and flieth away. The time of Nineveh's national wealth it's come to an end. Kind of like America. Looks wealthy on the outside, but when you get into the numerics of it, it doesn't quite add up. But they were wealthy. They had probably all the comforts, the creature comforts that people wanted back then. They had all that stuff. So, all good things must come to an end, and all good things here in this country here too, at some point must come to an end. Kingdoms rise, kingdoms fall, and God's in control of all that. In His time. In His time. Thy crowned are as the locusts, and thy captains as the great grasshoppers, which camp in the hedges in the cold of the day. But when the sun arises, they flee, and their place is not known where they are. Well, when the skirmish began, the leaders escaped. They tucked tail and ran. There is no healing of thy bruise, thy wound is grievous. All that hear the bruit of thee shall clap the hands over thee. For upon whom hath not thy wickedness passed continually? The Assyrian people had sinned and sinned and sinned. It was a way of life for them. And again, kind of like the culture here in the States. People point fingers at God. God is wrong. God allows evil. He does. God is righteous. And God always does something about sin in His time. Okay? A lot of people think God is evil. God allows evil. Why does God allow this to happen? You take those California fires, for instance. If those fires, over the next couple weeks, keep creeping and creeping and creeping their way down towards Hollywood, the occult capital of the universe, starts creeping its way down towards that heathen Hollywood, there will be many that say God allows evil. God does nothing to stop this carnage and these evil things happening here. Well, those contaminated thinking people will probably think that way. But aren't there many of us that are going to say God is righteous and God judges sin? It goes both ways. It's all in how you look at it, isn't it? We're going to touch more on that coming up soon. But until next time, take care, you guys.